is duplicate something that they want, and then they want it on their record. I guess that's okay. You know, I'm just very picky, I guess. You know? But I like it when people have something in mind, and they can challenge me. I mean, I like challenges. You know, I like it's. That's why I'm not a studio musician. I mean, not that it's challenging for some people to be a studio musician. For me, it's not. I couldn't just sit in a room all day and just read the paper and do that. You know, I like traveling. I like, you know, so that challenge in music is important for me too.
Do you double on any instruments?
No. No, this is it. This is it.
Did you say that Milestones was one of the definitive classical?
Yeah, I'd say that album. I don't know if everybody heard it. It's an album called Milestones, I think of 59, 58 or something. And to me, that album is basically, for me, that's the definitive jazz album because it has everything on it. I mean, if anybody ever wanted to know what jazz was, that album has everything. The cannonball solos and the way the songs were written, and it's just a classical album. The songs, everything about it is just wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, actually, that was the demo. The track that's on the album is the demo track that we did maybe 3 months before the album, and it sounded so good. It sounded better than what we did when we got down to making the album. So we took the demo track and used it. Romantic grip? Traditional grip? Probably a little of everything. That's a good one. I like that. The romantic grip. Oh, yeah. I think I'll use that tonight. It's a good one. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, playing on top of the beat. Yeah, that's the thing. If you study a lot, then you know what that means. You know, and you can play. You can decide whether you're going to play behind the beat. You can decide whether you're going to play on the beat, or you can decide whether you're going to play ahead of the beat. For you to decide, not for you to be relegated to all you know. To sit, you know. But your question brings out the same thing again in me. So the questions bring out the same thing I keep trying to say. You can't play the drums, then you can't. I mean, then you're just going to be. I don't know. Oh God. Because I don't like to. I hear myself and I sound kind of dog about certain things, you know? And it's just that I really like the instrument. So you can decide how to play, you know, and have control of the, you know, these other things. Oh, great. I just so happy to answer. Okay, wait a minute. Any question? Oh no, I worked at Independence too. Yeah, but there's a way, you know.
Like I heard Miles and that you played a lot of Independence, but you could also keep your hand.
Right, that's the idea. Okay, when I started playing. All right. When I started playing, the idea was to be able to play the ride cymbal, and that's how what you hear. I mean, what you hear on the records. This is where the time is. So the idea was to play everything without changing them. See, I couldn't play the way the other stuff I play, like the you know, if I didn't first line. That's what Alan Dawson could do that. Alan Dawson could do that to a kid 9 years old. I mean, and I'm not, my arm is down, my shoulder's down, and I'm just sitting here playing from the hand. My technique involves not the wrist. It's not arm and wrist, it's just the hand. See, when I play around the drums, if I go, when I got over here, I'd be tired. But hands play so much, I can come back, I can go, and I can do that all day. I can play like that because of the hands. So the same thing with the cymbals. Try to play things in different ways, put them on different and do it. It that way. So then what happens is, what I've done is, I've got this thing that I can always, and I always know where I am. And if I read, like with the cymbal, another thing about the cymbal, you play like this, you'll never get better. The idea is to practice things, so the way to play the cymbal is, my hand stays in one place. The arm stays in one place. But the stick comes all the way back. It almost hits me in the face a lot of times. Because you can't, like my drums are all, if I set my drums up to make it easy on myself, like people do, pull it all in because I can get to it easier, that's great, but I'll never get better. But if my drums are at a point where I have to reach for them, then that means that my body is always in motion. So you make your body, I've made my body sort of into the mechanism, so that everything's all, it's like when I practice and I do like that, then I've got this, it's like a pulley, like a weight, like the weight's like, so you make yourself, I've always made myself I'm always ready, and the way you play and the way you sit tells you a lot, about how you're going to sound. Because if I were playing, and I were playing like this, I might just say, wow, that really, really feels good. Well, I'm really going to groove now, That's great, that but subconsciously, something inside is going to be saying, boy, you're comfortable, aren't you? So consequently, you're going to sound uncomfortable. I give myself the best chance of sounding good from the very beginning. From the point I sit down, I have a better chance of sounding good if, like, when I pick up the sticks, I sit there, and my feet are like the same. When I look down, my knees are in the same place, like I'm not sitting like that. Like I'm sitting straight, my knees are, and I sit like that. My hands are like this. And I play. I didn't sit down and go, all of a sudden I just sat down and go, like that, And that's what I see a lot. Did I get off the question? Did I answer your question?
Thank you very much.
In the back.
Yeah, what would you suggest would be a good way or the best way to practice keeping steady time and have the feeling really, to have a consistent feeling going through your time field as you play? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, just get a tape recorder and listen to yourself. And if you learn to listen to yourself and criticize yourself and say, that's not sounding good, and you got to find, and why, and then you analyze it. Why isn't that sounding good? Like I said, the way I did it was I just sat there and played time. No beats, no rhythms. And then when you could sit, Clifford Jarvis told me years ago, drummer, he said, just sit there and you play the time, and when you can play the time and you feel good back from it, then you got it. Because if I sit there and I go, or even without the hi-hat, if you do it long enough, it'll become very strong. I can't express it strongly enough how much that works. if the idea is to sit there and you draw a feeling back from it, when you can do that, you're on your way. I mean, because that's what it's all about. It's not the beats. It's not all the stuff in between. Believe me.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've heard people that can play amazing things, but it sounds terrible because there's no frame around it. You know, you can play all the wonderful rhythms in the world, but you know, it's not necessarily music. You know? Yeah. About my playing. That's all I mean. Not anybody else.
What changes have you made to the philosophy of concept of playing from then until now? Have you made some conscious decisions?
Yeah, I've done that through the years. You know, like I've had things that I've played and then I stopped playing them. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sometimes you do that. I mean, I can't think of a specific thing that I could tell you, but yes. Huh? Oh yeah, I've made changes in the set. I mean, I started out originally with a 18-inch bass drum. Oh, there's another thing I was doing when I was just playing that. Another way I play, just for some more information, is that when I play like time, like traditional, like straight ahead jazz swing, you can play it just a cymbal, you can play with the hi-hat, and you can play with the bass drum. And I had to learn, or I thought it necessary to learn, how to play like swing time or straight jazz time in the traditional sense that it started out with. See, the whole thing started out like with the Charleston beat, like the old Charleston beat. So and it developed into swing time like that. But the basic way for a drummer to play it is 4/4 on the bass drum. And after a while, I guess in like the late 40s or the early 50s, that became less, drummers played that less and less, the bass drum on 4/4, or you heard it less and less. But it's still necessary, like when drummers used to play. Great sound. Yeah. So the idea, excuse me, wait a minute. The idea is what I'm trying to say is, you still got. I mean, that's part of it too. Even at fast tempos, I play the bass drum. You don't hear it, but I'm playing it like this. Easy to do. It's real easy to do, and to play the drums and make it all, and project the sound. But you can't project. Anyway. Yes.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you about earlier, I'm glad you just touched upon it. I thought at one point that you made a transition with keeping time with the bass drum like you just executed, and that when you were working with Miles especially, that you accentuated a lot with the hi-hat, and I thought that you made a transition and instead of keeping your time on the bass drum, that you were keeping time on the hi-hat.
No, I've never keep time with anyone. I keep time with the cymbal. Yeah.
It sounded like as though you were doing that with the hi-hat. Were you doing it with the hi-hat as well as with the bass drum?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know what you're saying. What I did in that period of time, I think, was when I first, joined Miles Davis's band, I was playing without the bass drum, and basically the hi-hat was on 2 and 4, like this. Then about a third of the way through the 6 years, I started playing without the hi-hat, just the cymbal. Just playing all these things, and for about a year and a half I was playing. that went on for about a year and a half. Then I came back, and I decided, oh, okay. And then after that, I decided some other things. So it was this whole, through the 6 years, I got a chance to do a lot of experimenting with all of that. And, so, yeah, if I could give classes every day, I could tell you all these things, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot to play.
We'd be here every day.
Right?
Play.
Yeah.
Do you apply any styles of Indian and Baroque and drums and solo?
Yeah, I do. What I apply, what you mostly hear, are more Cuban, timbali type things that I play. That's all timbali stuff. And a lot of stuff I play is like Afro-Cuban. Yeah, sure.
Are you going to consume your
Okay. Yes, any, yeah.
resume your vocal career?
Pardon me?
Are you going to resume your vocal career anytime soon?
My vocal career. Don't ask me that.
We'll love you more when it's over.
Okay, yeah.
What style of music do you feel most comfortable with? Since you've sort of like pioneered like fusion and since you had a love for jazz, and I mean, what type of music do you really feel the happiest playing, or do you feel you can show more of Tony when you're playing?
I like playing solo. I mean, just solo drums is great, and that's why I want to do more of this, because I really don't know. That's a hard question for me, because I've played so much with certain kinds of groups, and it's like anything. If you do it all the time, sometimes you just get bored with it, And a lot of people are really great players, but it's hard for me to play with. I mean, just certain things are not. It's hard to say, because if I say one thing to you, it's just a label. It doesn't mean anything. Like I say, it depends on the people I'm playing with. If I could get like, they might, like things like if I could get Ron and John McLaughlin on a record together, that would be great. Because they've never played it. What I like doing is playing in situations where people haven't played together. If I got like Herbie and Jack Bruce together, that's great. But the same stuff, just to duplicate it because they didn't get enough of it. I can't be. It's hard for me to go along with that.
How do you feel about like them trying to tell you or them showing you a certain way of playing on different tunes or whatever? I mean, do you feel it's better for you to more or less have your own free hand on everything that you do?
No, I don't. No, I like I said earlier, I like it if someone has something in mind and then they want me to kind of live up to that. That's great, rather than them just saying, well, play what you feel. I mean, I can do that too, but it's also nice, get a balance in it.
Is it true that somebody told me that before you started with Miles, when you were younger, you were 17, and you asked him, or one time asked him, one time stage you asked him if you could sit in and say
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
And then when you started playing Miles, you said I was going to get that.
Right.
How long was after you played Miles, or did he hear you play that he said, come join my band?
Before that,
Yeah.
space of time,
Yeah,
I'd say about 3-4 years.
what did he say to you? What was he like? What was it like going back and asking him? Did he say, go good? Did he say, sit down?
No, he. I went back. I think it was 60. And he came to town with. He had Hank Mobley in the band and Wynton Kelly and Paul James. And I went backstage and he was just going like out a door. And I caught him as he was going out the door, and I said, Miles, Mr. Davis, can I sit in with your band? And he said, no, go back and sit down and listen. And that was it, and I was just thrilled, that, he said something to me, anything. I was just, It was a time when... he's great. He's a great trumpet player. They're all great. Everyone's great. Anything specific? I mean, that I could show, that I could demonstrate, or about the brushes? Okay. If I think of something.
How about just the way you practice?
Yeah, okay, well the brushes, for me, I mean the biggest advantage, and the only thing really that's happening with the brushes, is the fact that, not on these heads though, because these are real, but on those grainier heads you can hear it better. You know, you just get this constant sound. So that's the idea behind it with the brushes, and the brushes are so, like the complete opposite of sticks. With sticks, I always hold on to the sticks, you know, constantly. You know, my fingers are always around, and you know, and I have this technique that I play with that has saved me over the years. But with brushes, it's totally opposite. I mean, you can just, I barely hang on to them, you know, and the idea, and there are these different strokes, you know, handed down from people like Joe Jones and Sid Catlett of brush technique, and it's all this sweeping motion, and if you do it in time, you get a good sound. You know, I see Max Stroach do. I mean, it's okay. But that's all that stuff. I mean, it's such a personal thing. But then there's certain basic things, like brushes are very. They can get out. You can get out of control. It's like with the match. If it feels awkward, people don't want to do it. You know, and there's a way that this can feel really comfortable for all of those out there who don't want to play with the traditional grip. It can feel. It feels real comfortable. You know, it doesn't have to be awkward. Same thing with the brushes. I have to show you individually what I mean, because it's really a personal thing, especially with the left hand, and how the brushes have to be. And then again, it's the brushes too. This set of brushes is wider than the other set I had here. So this is more preferable for me to play because you get a bigger sweep. And you got to learn, and then you have to learn how to keep them from getting tangled up in each other, you know? It's a lot of fun playing with brushes. You just have to kind of get it so that it sounds believable and you don't sound like you're you know, fighting. And I never like playing brushes like sticks. I mean, why play the brushes if you're going to play the same things you play with sticks, like guys play? That's. I never saw the advantage in that. So I always, when I play brushes, I usually stick to doing things like this, or doing what the brushes can, what the sticks can't do, is what I spend time doing with the brushes. So if you ever see me play and I go, you can throw a stick at it. So that's about it. I mean, it's a whole thing. I mean, it's more than that, but that's a demonstration of the brushes. The hi-hat coordinated so that it, you know, I mean, it's all coordination when you play with the drums, it's like tuning in like bass and treble and stuff on the stereo at home. I mean, because if I were playing it, I were going like that. You know, I mean, you wouldn't hear the brushes, or it'd be out of balance. So the idea is to get this harmonious sound between the instrument and then the bass drum. You know, the bass drum's in, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's great. Yeah. No, I've thought about that too. I think because I started so young, I don't know, maybe my ears are like the rocks in me or something. But I know now, even now, I can hear real little sounds. Like a friend of mine, where's Lee? He says, I told him, he said, boy, you heard that dollar fall. I heard a paper dollar one day fall somewhere. I said, hey. And he said he just jumped out. He said, I don't believe it, you know. So my ears are pretty, you know, even after playing with groups with amps and stuff. I don't know, you know. Maybe in 10 years it'll really, you know, I have ringing, yeah. I like hours. I can go back to the hotel. Sure. I mean, there's ringing. But I guess it subsides after a couple of days.
Is that your own bass drum set up on the single stand?
Pardon me?
The single stand bass drum.
Yeah.
Is that your own?
Yeah.
You always use it?
Yeah. Each new set I get, I drill a hole in there and put that in. Yeah. Now I've had this particular one on 3 sets. Yeah, because
Why?
well, because Gretsch doesn't make one. I've been trying to get them to make one, and if you write them a letter, maybe they'll make me one. But they'll make one soon. They came up with one like this thing, like hooks onto this, but that means that then there's more rattling, you know. So I want them to make one that just comes out of the bass drum like that. It's better that way. Yeah. I studied with Alan about I think about a year altogether, about a year and a half.
Do you use your experience as a drummer when you
Yeah, yeah, I do. I have to. Yeah, sure.
What is your purpose for having black dots on both sides of your heads?
Oh, okay. Well, when I played these drums, I had a lot of heads sent to me, and I experimented with all the heads, and I found out that these heads keep the tone of the drum no matter how hard I hit them. The other heads, the harder I hit them, they lost, the tone was gone. You'd hear this hit, but you wouldn't hear a tone. You'd hear the harder it got. But with these, no matter how hard I hit them,
What about the bottom? What about having them on the bottom?
same thing. I mean, the head, it acts as a balance. That's why it's on the bottom. Yeah, that's what it says, yeah. Gretsch head. Gretsch makes them, and Remo makes them. Black dots. Yeah. Can't hear you.
When you're playing along, music is very tempestuous.
Yeah?
Is there time to think, or is it something?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think, you know. There's time. There's time. There's plenty of time to think. I mean, when things are happening. You know, because a lot of music depends on what you don't play too. You know, it helps when you know the spaces. Yeah, there's plenty of time to think.
I know you probably say no, but have you ever, lost time? It's like some drummers,
Yeah.
you ever lost time?
How do you
you can always do it with never get busted or whatever. How can you always fall back and start with like a lot of this kind?
Because basically, you know, sure, I mean, everybody, you know, I mean, even I make mistakes. But no, I mean, because I listen. You know, if I hear that, I'm listening to the bass player, and he's telling me a lot. I mean, everyone is telling you something. when you're playing, everything that's going on is telling you something. So if I get in, like if there's a 4-bar break and I'm supposed to play 4, right? I can hear sometimes if I'm starting to speed up. You know, and then when the bass player comes in, or the band comes in, you know whether you speeded up or whether they thought you, or they misunderstood what you were playing, or a number of things can happen. So that's why it's important to listen. I mean, if you can't hear, you're in trouble. But yeah, you're in trouble. Then you just have to go ahead and guerrilla it and just have to make sure that everybody else follows you. That's what's happening to me most of the time. But one time, I tell you a good story. We used to, playing with Miles one time. We were playing, and he used to have these signals where, at the end of his solo, he'd play this line, this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and that was a signal that there was a drum solo. Okay, so we're playing one night, and he played the signal, and I started off on this drum solo. And he would play the signal on slow tunes, medium tunes, and fast tunes. So he played the signal this night on like a kind of just regular medium tune. When I came out of my solo, my signal to come out of the solo was as if we were playing a real fast tune. So I came out of the solo, and the whole band followed me. So we started off playing a tune that was like that. When after my solo, we were playing the whole band. So I consider that a big faux pas. I always revert back to that and say, "Oh, you big dummy!" But we got out of it. You know, we just in those days the band was playing things where we were playing real fast, and all of a sudden we just slow down. So it sounded like we were doing things right. You know? That's what I mean by making mistakes sound good. It's a lot of fun when you're in a band. That's the greatest thrill for me of the whole experience is being with people that once you get on the bandstand, I mean, there's a whole thing there, and people like each other and they want to work together. Not that a lot of good music hasn't been made out of bands where people didn't like each other. I don't subscribe to that either. People say, well, to make good music, everyone in the band has to like each other. Music transcends all that. Music has nothing to do with music that can be made out of yeah.
So what do you think of the directions Miles is taking now, like his present band, and would you ever play with him again? Would you consider playing?
You asked me two different questions. You asked me.
Yeah.
I would consider. I would. I like whatever Miles does. I mean, it's certain people like that, or whatever they do is fine with me because they've given. I mean, Miles has given 5 times more than he had to, than was required of him to American culture, not just music. So whatever he does is fine with me. As far as playing with him again, I'd have to get a lot more money than I got when I was younger. I wasn't paid very well, so I'd play with him again, but I would have to get more money. Yeah.
Relate different ideas together. Whatever you feel like talking about.
Relate different ideas on the drums. It's a struggle. It's putting them together.
Could you play some example or whatever comes off the top of your head?
Okay. Okay, what I have is it's not necessarily an idea, but it's a pattern that I would show that. Because before I got these 2 drums, originally I started out with just 4 drums. The first set I had. These 4 here. Then I got this one, and then I got these 2 after that. And when I got these 4, I found that there's these patterns that I would, just for practice, not to play them or anything, but practicing, if I can remember. Because this whole this exercise addresses my concern. There are two types of ways of playing sometimes. I think more kind of ways of playing. But I'm concerned with these two types right here. One is where you've got the hands going through different drums, and you're playing different drums. The other one is where the hands are playing the same drums all the time, like this. So these exercises help to uniform a sort of playing around the drums with both hands playing the same drum. And then there was let's see, I forgot it. God, I forgot that. But like I say, there's playing around the drums with both hands without the bass drum is a whole nother area of practice. And putting those kinds of ideas, that's one way. It's like picking areas to play. That's what I have ideas about. You know, like with this set now, I have this area. It's like two different drum sets. You know, if you play it like that, you can get, you know, two different. It's like having different groups of drums. Like I'm mostly interested in that right now when I'm practicing. When I do practice now, I'm practicing on that, picking out different ways to divide this setup. You know, all the different harmonic combinations. There's another one I'm working on too. Yeah, it's bizarre. Okay. What time have you got?
7:30. 2 hours.
My goodness, 2 hours. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, breathe. Right. Definitely, you gotta breathe. Yeah, that's partly what I was saying before about how I sit and things like that. I had a book once on yoga breath, and that was good because yoga breath helps you get a lot of energy from immediately. You know, and the yoga breath is, I don't know if, it's real simple. It's just when you're able to breathe, and all the breath, you start from way down here, and you fill it all up, and you feel it, and you keep doing that. And that's helped a lot for me. That's the only thing basically I use, and I don't use it that often. I just try to depend on like kind of tricks and stamina, because after a while it, especially when I play, and I haven't played in a long time, I have to use a lot of tricks. If you know what I mean. But I don't really, yoga breath was the only thing I ever got into, but that I don't use that much. Because I have strange. Yeah.
How do you feel about computer drums like the old?
About what?
Computer drums.
Yeah, I was just in the studio last week with a Lynn drum machine. I like them. I like Lynn drum machines.
You Did you ever use metronome for practicing?
No, I don't
How
like
you
it.
feel about that?
I think that you can do that. You can practice without a metronome. I don't think a drummer needs a metronome. I don't get that. Yeah. Yeah.
You said you're playing without with legato. Did you do anything consciously to make it more legato?
Yeah. After, I mean, that was good. I mean, I'm glad it was made so I could hear it, and then I started playing more rolls and finding out. Like after the records after that, I don't know. I mean, I noticed it, but after that, I started using more rolls and things and trying to find out, because everything I was playing was like, it really annoyed me after I heard it. I cried.
Do you have any plans to play in the near future with any band?
No plans right now. No plans. I'm trying to make a new album. So I have a new album out. Yeah, right.
How do you like your work with Holdsworth on Believe It?
Pardon me?
How did you like your work with Holdsworth on the album Believe It?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's really good. He's good. Yeah. Yep. No, I'm not.
Is that one reason why when you say you were kind of like out of it for a year when you said you had to practice?
Uh-huh.
That one of the times you weren't really called?
Actually, I've never been to a period where I was called a lot for work and stuff, because I don't know, it's just been kind of steady for me. It's never been people call me to do television commercials and things like that. Local club dates and things like that. And I live down north of San Francisco. So, it's hard to get. Yeah.
How'd you go about writing? Being a drummer, did you study piano or no?
Yeah, I'm studying now. I study counterpoint, composition, and stuff like that. 3 times a week, actually. UC Berkeley. Yeah.
What about like years ago, like on older records that you had to release?
Yeah, I'm always taking lessons in something. So I was taking lessons then, and I had a teacher, and I was taking piano then on the first record. The first record I made, songs I wrote were written without any lessons. I just wrote them. It sounds like it too. No, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand something to make it a little clearer.
Yeah, sure, try.
When you were, what I think you've been saying to me tonight is that when you play the drums, you should play it with a lot more feeling than being technical about it. Although you should have the technique to
Right.
do that.
Exactly.
But then you said that you really like those little gadget machines that they got, right? Now, with the Lin machine.
Yeah, right.
But that's very different than what you just said. I mean, it plays strings, you can play all kinds of beats.
Right.
Probably a lot that a drummer couldn't, but it doesn't have the feeling that the person would have.
Yeah, right. But I'm not using. See, it depends. What I'm saying, I like the Lin machine because of the results. If I wanted to rehearse with a drummer, you see, it's like if I'm going to write some songs, it's good to write songs with a drum machine. And when I use a drum machine, I use all of the knobs. I plug everything in: the claps, the bongos, the bass drum, the snare drum, all the things that's on the drum machine. I use it all, so I get this whole big effect going. And then I start writing. Then you can write over it. It's just fun to deal. It's fun to deal with. It's another way of expressing myself. Because I don't have a problem with the drums, so I don't have to prove any. I don't have to. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's not what you're asking, but that's what I'm saying.
I was thinking instead of it, but you're saying using it with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to using a drum machine on my album,
but it'd be you putting it in there.
Right.
Your idea.
Exactly.
It wouldn't just be a machine.
Right. It'd be me playing the drum machine. And I'd rather play a drum machine with the buttons rather than the syndromes with sticks. the machine with the buttons is more exciting than the playing. Was it syndromes? To me, I mean, it's just. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, I think that. Yep. It's fun. Yeah, great. Well, I'm glad so many of you came and stuck around and waited so long. Thank you for coming. This has really been a lot of fun for me.
Franchetti, prego. Commento, un po' rovinati gli italiani, cominciando da Marchetti, Franchetti secondo in lista. Ignorante! Però l'ho visto un po' giù di fiato.